The Lord be with you.
And with your spirit.
A reading from the Holy Gospel according to John.
Glory to you, O Lord.
Jesus said to his disciples, "Do not let your hearts be troubled. You have faith in God, have faith also in me. In my Father's house there are many dwelling places. If there were not, would I have told you that I am going to prepare a place for you? And if I go and prepare a place for you, I will come back again and take you to myself, so that where I am, you also may be. Where I am going, you know the way." Thomas said to him, "Master, we do not know where you are going. How can we know the way?" And Jesus said to him, "I am the way and the truth and the life. No one comes to the Father except through me." The Gospel of the Lord.
Praise to you, Lord Jesus Christ.
So I think the last time that I was with everyone in this chapel, I spoke a little bit about the human brain, this machine that never quite stops scheming. Well, it turns out that after doing a little bit of Google research, the word brain does not appear in the Bible. It talks about the head or the mind, but the Bible doesn't have a whole lot to say about the brain. The preferred organ of the Bible is the heart. And the heart is mentioned over 800 times. Biologically, we think of the heart as kind of this sort of dumb muscle that squeezes over and over again, thankfully. But in the Bible, it's much more. In the Jewish tradition, it's much more than a muscle. The heart is the seat of our emotions. It's the seat of our affections. And we know that Jesus is primarily concerned not with the brain, but with the heart. Jesus knows that our hearts need to be tended to. Jesus knows that our hearts are intended to be joyful, generous, free, courageous. But he knows that our hearts can be burdened down. The fire of our hearts can be dampened with selfishness, with hate. They can grow stony. And they can grow cold and weary with worry. And today, that's something that he addresses in the gospel. The disciples are at risk of letting the fire of their hearts die. They've grown to love Jesus. They've grown to love each other. They've grown to love the gospel and the power of the gospel. But there's a cloud looming over everything. And it's the cloud, I think, that looms over all of us. It's this cloud of death. That we'd like to live joyfully and generously and freely and courageously. But there's that worry that it's all going to come to an end. And Jesus sees this in his disciples and he says, "Do not let your hearts be troubled." And he tries as he may, he tries to show them the other side of death. What's on the other side? And he says, "There's a house prepared for you. I'm going there and you will be with me always." But the disciples have trouble understanding and accepting it. They don't have the great privilege that we have, or that Paul has in the first reading. They don't know what's on the other side. They don't know that the path to the other side is the path that Jesus walks, the path that Jesus is. We call Jesus, affectionately, we call him the Sacred Heart, or we refer to the Sacred Heart of Jesus. That's to say that Jesus is the heart that is eternally joyful, eternally generous, eternally free, and eternally courageous. And this heart is itself the path that Jesus takes to the other side. It's his sacred heart that overcomes death, and it's his sacred heart that is our path, our way, our truth, and our life. Jesus is for us the way. Jesus' sacred heart is for us the way that conquers all worry, that conquers all fear, that conquers all burden. And so we follow Jesus through this life and into eternity, living joyfully, generously, freely, and courageously, with hearts like unto Jesus' heart.